Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Joseph, and this is your DailySheeple.com Daily News Brief. And let's get started here. We got the Daily Sheeple with a great article today that came out, 3 lies from Hillary Clinton during the third and final presidential debate. And last night's debate, of course, didn't disappoint for a lot of people looking for fun and excitement. And we even have a Sheeple article out today that has Hillary talking on the microphone and the word rig behind her. Isn't that interesting? And there's 3 lies, and let's go over them real quick. Lie number 1. Responding to a question about WikiLeaks, Clinton deceptively suggested that WikiLeaks is somehow tied to the Russian Federation. Quote, "We have 17 intelligence agencies, civilian and military, who have all concluded that these espionage attacks, these cyber attacks, come from the highest level of the Kremlin, and they are designed to influence the election." Now, of course, there's no evidence that WikiLeaks is a nationalist organization of any kind. And why does Clinton insist on portraying WikiLeaks in this way? According to the Department of Homeland Security, the hacks came from Russia. But of course, there's no evidence of this conclusion between WikiLeaks and the Russian government. And this is just merely a red herring for Clinton to distract from her culpability in what was said in those emails. And that's all it is, folks. If you take a look at what she says when she's asked a legitimate question, which is very few. You never see legitimate questions. Most of them are all scripted. But if somebody does get one in, it's instant blow off. It's a deflection tactic. Lie number 2. Clinton also lied when she said that her plan will not add a penny to the national debt. Sure. The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget predicts, if implemented, Clinton's policies would increase the debt by $9 trillion over 1 decade. Because it's not high enough. I don't even see how the heck we're going to be able to pay it back unless we go to like the 1950s tax rates of 90% for the top tier. In which case, you're going to have people leaving this country like crazy because even Europe is more palatable than that. Lie number 3. Clinton says, "I want to make college debt free." Of course, just like any other politician, Clinton likes to make empty promises that sound nice but are truly bold-faced lies. The facts are clear. Clinton's college plan alone would require a federal budget of over $500 billion over a 10-year period to allegedly give free college to in-state college students. And this means that most people will be robbed of $500 billion of their hard-earned money and suffer drastic inflation rates so that kids can get another useless liberal arts degree. Clinton has no plan, of course, to make college debt-free. She wants to raise your taxes and have you shoulder the burden of a college bubble that's already about to burst. Already over $1.2 trillion out there in college debt. And really, it's a travesty because all these universities are playing off how easy it is to get student loans. And then what happens when people leave college or graduate? Why, there's no jobs. And then you go into a 5-year period where you don't have to pay. You can take up to 5 years. And I mean, it's just crazy. The system, my friends, is rigged every step of the way. And the WikiLeaks releases continue today with another 4,470 Podesta emails. This is part 13 of the dump. And there's some great highlights from this. ZeroHedge.com had a great highlight article on this. It says the third and final debate may have come and gone, but the daily wiki Podesta dump continues. In the now traditional daily routine, moments ago, WikiLeaks released yet another 4,470 emails in part 13 of its ongoing Podesta email dump, which brings the total number of released emails to 23,423. Let's go over some good stuff. Among yesterday's most dramatic revelations were more confirmations of collusion and coordination with the media, a never-before-seen 2008 memo between Fed Governor Tarullo and President-elect Obama discussing the AIG bailout. A shocking revelation into Bill Clinton's conflicts of interest at Teneo, and the missing link of Hillary's email deletions, confirming she had instructed the deletions of emails from the start, refuting her previous testimony. Oops! Not that she would actually get persecuted or prosecuted over this, because she should be. She should have before, but that's not going to happen. And among the emails released in the batch, yet another confirmation of Teneo's Doug Band going on a bender and accusing the foundation of even more conflicts of interest. Listen to this. It says, also, I signed a conflict of interest policy as a board member of CGI. On it, I wrote that my wife designs bags for CGI and loses money doing so, plus donates her time, and that Teneo represents 4 CGI sponsors, 3 of which Teneo brought to CGI. Oddly, William Jefferson Clinton doesn't have to sign such a document, even though he's personally paid by 3 CGI sponsors. Of course, CGI, Clinton Global Initiative, and gets many expensive gifts from them. Some that are at home, etc. I could add 500 different examples of things like this, and while I remove Lazary because they are all on the offensive, I get the sense that they are they're trying to put some sort of wrongdoing on me after the audit as a crutch to change things, and if I don't mention things like Lazary, where they all have issues, I may regret it. And John Podesta's wife, Mary, discussed Hillary's comments concerning wiping the server. Says, I just watched the video of Hillary in Vegas last week talking about wiping the server with a cloth. It was scarier than I expected, particularly because her hostility reminds me of how ridiculous Mom can be about technology, which drives the 3 of us crazy. And I imagine other younger people have parents like that. And in another email, John Podesta said that an excuse for having the email server at home would fall apart under scrutiny. Quote, why, the IRS, that was hacked. I think the State Department was hacked. Sony was hacked. Banks are hacked. As we try and close the Benghazi chapter and the email drip drip, is there ever a moment in time, not to defend the decision, but lay out the fact, Hillary Rodham Clinton's servers were not hacked? No, this is a naive thought, but just thinking. To which Podesta responds, reluctant to go there, makes it seem like she consciously went to the home server for security reasons, which would fall apart under scrutiny. And of course, I'm sure there's going to be much more to come from these emails. Yet, as these emails come out, you would think that perhaps somebody in government, right, because they're supposed to be serving the people, would actually do what's in the people's best interest. No, they're going to do whatever's in the special interests' best interest, in the shadow government's best interest, in the Clintons' best interest. Surely not in your best interest. And, it's showing now as more voters are getting stressed out by these elections. This, according to CBS in San Francisco, KCBS. They say that new evidence shows that campaign 2016 is having an emotional impact on people, stressing many out, and in some cases, even ruining relationships. The fighting and acrimonious campaigning between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump has gone on for months over television airwaves and across the internet. No, maybe it can be because a lot of people are pissed off because they're finally seeing in black and white, as if it wasn't relevant enough during the 2008 and 2012 elections. People are now seeing in black and white just how rigged the system is. Yeah, and they're starting to go, oh, I can't take it anymore. They say, quote, it's like 2 high school kids fighting back and forth, passing bad notes, agreed voter Antron Bradford. Studies are indicating all the election drama is starting to take its toll on the voting public. It's too bad, isn't it? And according to a new survey from the American Psychological Association, nearly half of Americans say the 2016 presidential election is stressing them out. I can't really figure out why it is, because when you figure out that it is the illusion of choice, that the popular vote really has nothing to do with electing a president, it's all about the Electoral College. It's all about the Electoral College, and all those people are basically pre-positioned. It's very, very hard for a Donald Trump to be able to. I'd be floored if Donald Trump wins. Everybody's like, yeah, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. Hey, maybe he does win. I don't know. But I can tell you that it's a long shot. You would have to have an overwhelming popular vote. And there's so much rigging going on, and there's such an uphill battle for him to face. I don't think it would happen. Not to mention, there's a lot of evidence out there to suggest that he may be out there as that person to give people that false choice. I don't know. And, Gary Johnson and Jill Stein are out there. Those are, of course, two other people that you can select. I think they're on the ballot in all 50 states. But you're not going to get somebody that's actually going to do what's in the people's best interest. You're going to have somebody that gets in that's going to do what's in the special interests' best interest. Why? Because that's who put them in that place. You just don't get somebody now in that place that has your best interest at heart. And I know a lot of people out there are pro-Trump, but you don't amass a $9 billion fortune by being Mr. Nice Guy and caring for the little guy. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And that's just reality. You can talk a good game, and he can talk a good New York game. But if he is president, I don't know. It would surprise me if he ended up being somebody that everybody expects. I look at it as almost a second generation of, say, the coup that General Smedley Butler had foiled back in the 1930s when there was a coup to take down Roosevelt, or an attempted coup that failed because General Smedley Butler exposed it. If you want to read a good book, General Smedley Butler wrote a good book, War is a Racket. Anybody out there that you want to wake up, have them read that book. It's only like 90 pages, but it spells out in black and white that during the late 19th century and into the 20th century, he was a pawn of the banks and big business overseas as a Marine doing their bidding, and just spells it out in black and white. And that's the way it's been ever since. Absolutely crazy. And, there's a lot of talk of nuclear war. Brandon Smith of altmarket.com, one of my favorite writers out there, his article is highlighted on shtfplan.com today. And he says it will be the failure of the dollar system, not nuclear war, that destroys the United States. Isn't that interesting? Of course, Mac has a editor's comment. He says the conflict at hand is indeed complex and will have huge impact on the American people. While our divorce from the parasitic and psychopathic leaders in Washington and on Wall Street is long overdue, we've become hostage to the mentality that we're all in the same boat. Now, we're being dragged into more war and propping up terrorism and brutal dictatorial regimes in the name of holding on to the petrodollar empire. And though tough times are ahead, this system is not our lifeblood. It's not our duty, our duly elected government, and not our patriotic duty to support it. It's a monetary system of control, though what replaces it will not necessarily be any better. And he's right there. He says times are troubled and everything is sure to change. The challenge, individually, will be to hold on to what we've got and continue a culture of liberty and resistance. Very much true. And what we can see is the doing away with cash, the doing away with our current system, and introducing perhaps a one-world monetary system, a credit-based monetary system, something where every purchase is tracked and taxed, and you just become more of a slave. And all your assets, when the system does collapse, you will get 40 cents on the dollar if you're lucky. And that's just the way it is. Take a look at what happened in Cyprus. Take a look at what happened in Greece. These are places where this has already happened, and it can happen again. There's no doubt in my mind that this is where they want to go. I would recommend you read about this. Again, it's on SHTF Plan, and you can also check it out on altmarket.com. That's Brandon Smith's website. It's a very, very informative article. But surely, and I say this oftentimes, I can't imagine one person that would begin mutually assured destruction. I just can't see it happening. But I can see this threat being put out there to defend a failing petrodollar system, something that has been failing now for quite some time. Probably since the Iraq War, when Saddam Hussein took his country off the petrodollar and began taking euros. Of course, that was one of the main reasons why George W. Bush had to go in and finish the work that George H.W. Bush started. Got to go finish what Daddy started. And it's just continuing on from there. Of course, Iran took itself off the petrodollar, and look at Iran, axis of evil. North Korea, same thing. No, they don't, of course, they're just totally blackballed. But all the governments out there, Libya, took themselves off the petrodollar. When they did it, whoop, they quickly went in and deposed Muammar Gaddafi. And you can go on and on. This is what the Western banking system does when you don't play ball with it. And the only reason why they haven't really been able to turn the screws on the BRICS nations is because the BRICS nations, they're fighting back. They're pushing back. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen, especially since we've had, when Barack Obama was elected president, they blew it up. And I think we're going to see something very similar to that here coming up, because anybody out there that's looking for work, anybody out there that's unemployed, just as well as I do, that we're in a recession, that we never really recovered from that last downturn. And it's only going to get worse. This was the first president to ever see an 8-year tenure of no growth. He didn't even hit 3% growth. I mean, that's unbelievable. And it's only going to get worse. As we become farther in debt, it's only going to get worse. And if interest rates go up, the debt becomes unserviceable, and then you default. And then what? That's what remains to be seen. This was your DailySheeple.com Daily News Brief. I'm Joe Joseph. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I will see you next week. Take care.